Now, from Kansas City's breaking news leader, this is 41 Action News.
Coming up, you might want to double check your freezer, the ice cream giant that's pulling every single product off the shelves.
Uber staying in Kansas City, the powerful lawmaker that stood in the company's corner last night.
And an update on a Chiefs player, how he's holding up while fighting off Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lindsay Shively.
And I'm Patrick Fazio. Welcome to 41 Action News today. Man, it was chilly yesterday with that wind. Seems like the wind has died down. Let's see what we have going on today. Here's Kaylee Dion. Hi, Kaylee.
Good morning, guys. We're going to have a cold start to the day today. You're going to want to grab a coat as you head out the door and put that back on the long sleeves because really it's going to be cool all week long, with this afternoon being the warmest day, at least until we get to the end of the weekend. Otherwise, the next chance for rain we'll look at with our satellite and radar, and we could see a few very light isolated showers even this morning, and you can see that small sliver showing up, stretching from really the Kearney area up through St. Joseph and then back into Nebraska. A lot of this is not hitting the ground, but it could be a very small shower. It's not going to be much, but that's that small sliver of rainfall. Now, going into the afternoon, there's another spot that may see a shower pop up, so we'll look at that coming up. And I want to get you started for the day with our temperatures. 38 degrees right now in the Maryville area, 39 in Bethany, a little bit warmer in St. Joseph at 46 degrees, 44 in Lawrence, 41 at KCI. So you do need to make sure that you grab the coat for sure. Cold start, temperatures dropping to right about 39 degrees. Depending on the cloud cover, some clouds are moving in right now that'll help kind of keep us a little bit warmer. We're going to watch those morning temperatures, but a mix of sun and clouds to start, partly sunny throughout the day today. 66 degrees, very comfortable as you head home from work later on, but it's going to get cooler as we go into the next few days. We'll talk about that coming up.
All right, thanks, Kaylee. Well, you need to check your freezers this morning. Making national headlines, Blue Bell Ice Cream is pulling every single one of its products off the shelves and giving you a refund for it, all because of heightened concerns about listeria contamination. NBC's Kirk Gregory has more.
Blue Bell began recalling products last month after 3 deaths in a Kansas hospital were linked with contaminated ice cream. After stepped-up testing, in late March, more bacteria was discovered in half-gallon containers of chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream. Monday, the company announced the wide sweeping recall of products made at all Blue Bell facilities nationwide. It includes ice cream, frozen yogurt, sherbet, and frozen snacks.
We are heartbroken over this situation and apologize to all of our loyal Blue Bell fans and customers.
Blue Bell products are distributed to retail outlets across the country, including food service accounts, convenience stores, and supermarkets in 23 states, as well as international locations.
Our entire history has been dedicated to making the very best and highest quality ice cream we possibly could, and we're committed to fixing the problem.
Consumers who have purchased Blue Bell products are urged to return them for a full refund. The company is still trying to track down the source of the listeria contamination. Kirk Gregory, NBC News.
All right, so you can head to your local grocery store to get a full refund on Blue Bell products. For more information, just download our 41 Action News app now.
Amid pictures of moldy food at Kauffman Stadium, today Aramark is giving us a tour of its operations at the K. A fan's picture of a moldy hot dog prompted the health department to return to the stadium yesterday. The health department says they found no major violations.
Now, with what happened last year, we started doing inspections after the game to make sure that there is no food left in drawers or no food exposed to the environment. For the next few years, I think we will continue doing this number of routine inspections at each of these concession stands.
All right, so stick with us. We'll let you know how the behind-the-scenes tour with Aramark goes later today.
We have breaking news for you here at 4:32. Police are now searching for at least 3 armed burglars. While you slept, the 3 allegedly broke into a home and started shooting. The owner says that's when he started firing back. This happened near 77th Terrace and Montgall in Kansas City, Missouri. Witnesses say one person ran outside and jumped into a dark-colored car and drove off. Now, we'll keep you updated throughout the morning on this story as we learn more about the situation. Now to an update on a popular ride-sharing company, Uber. It looks like the company isn't leaving just yet from Kansas.
That's right. That's because Governor Brownback stood in the company's corner last night. He vetoed a bill that would have required Kansas Uber drivers to undergo a criminal background check and make sure they do not have gaps in their insurance coverage. We spoke with several legislators after the veto, and there's already talk of a plan to override the governor's move. But why did Brownback do it? He said the bill was premature, and to overregulate an emerging industry before the marketplace actors make proper arrangements is to invite more problems, not less. Now, a co-sponsor of the bill has some strong words for the governor. Last night over the phone, he told us the governor has made some poor decisions, but this one takes the cake. I'm beyond disappointed in him and believe he should be taking care of Kansans. Meanwhile, new rules for Uber are now in place in Kansas City. They went into effect on Sunday. Drivers now have to pay for an annual permit. While Uber first said it would leave the city, the company now says it's working to stay.
And now for a look ahead, lawmakers will get together at City Hall to figure out where they'll get $1 million to fund the city's security. That's because Kansas City is about to lose that much money from Homeland Security. 41 Action News reporter Jenna Hanchard shows us why the city stands to lose so much.
Kansas City officials are afraid to lose money that helps keep the city prepared for security and terrorist threats. This month, the Department of Homeland Security says it will provide funding for 28 high-threat, high-density urban areas. Kansas City says this region didn't make the cut and is set to lose $1 million in federal funding from Homeland Security. The city's emergency manager says this money paid for equipment and resources for the Kansas City police and fire departments. Officials say on the heels of incidents like the shooting at the Jewish Community Center, our area needs the funding. Now city officials say they will apply for state grants to try to make up the loss. Jenna Hanchard, 41 Action News.
Again, the public safety meeting is tomorrow night at City Hall and is set to start at 10:30 p.m.
The FBI now admits its experts gave flawed testimony in hundreds of cases over a 20-year span. And in one of those cases, a Missouri man was executed. That's according to the Washington Post. The report says the experts overstated hair matches in cases they testified in before 2000. In 95% of those cases, the mistakes favored the prosecution. Of the cases, 6 are in Missouri. One defendant was executed and another remains on death row. One case was in Kansas.
Well, a man is now charged with rape at a popular downtown bar. Witnesses told investigators they saw this man, Dennis Skeen, raping the victim on the floor of Duke's on Grand over the weekend. The witnesses also said the victim was unconscious, and when they tried to get Skeen's attention, they say he dragged her to a back room. After witnesses called 911, officers arrested Skeen.
A Kansas lawmaker that will do time for as many crimes, coming up what he admitted to spending his bank loan money on.
And a determined community trying to save a Kansas City elementary school, what the city plans to do with it instead.
And if we look here at our temperatures right now, 41 degrees here in Kansas City, 36 in Minneapolis, 54 down in Dallas. A cool air mass in place. How long will it last? We'll go over that with our forecast coming up.
We have an update here at 4:39. A man once elected to the Kansas State Legislature will now serve the next year and a half in prison. In a plea deal, Trent Ladeau admitted to applying for 3 bank loans and telling the bank he would use the money to buy cattle. But now he says he used it to pay off existing debts and for his campaign. Ladeau represented an area of northeast Kansas. Chief Safety Eric Berry is in good spirits while undergoing treatment for Hodgkin's lymphoma. That's according to head coach Andy Reid, who gave us an update on Berry's condition yesterday.
He's doing very well. He's got a couple treatments left. Those treatments, they kind of knocked the dog out of you, but he's fought through it, and he's working out like a wild man.
Doctors diagnosed Berry late last year, and they believe his condition is very curable. And later today, the NFL will release the Chiefs' 2015 schedule. We already know the Chiefs' home and away opponents for next year. Now, this is a look at them here. Today, we'll find out exactly when the Chiefs will play each team. The release is set for 7 tonight. Can't wait.
A group is not giving up hope on a former Kansas City elementary school. Last night, the Save Thatcher group held a community meeting. Demolition on the school along Independence Avenue is set to start in the next few weeks. The group hoped a large turnout would change the school district's mind.
we're called the historic Northeast for a reason. It's because of our historic preservation in our buildings. If we start losing this building just as easily as they got rid of it, exterminated our building and our history, I mean, what's to say they're not going to do it to the building behind you?
The district plans to turn the space into a sports complex for the reopened Northeast Middle School, which shares the same property. Coming up after the break, a 14-year-old arrested in Britain for allegedly plotting a terrorist attack, and a country dealing with death at soccer games. Coming up, the shocking numbers and the group officials say are to blame.
Now, with Kansas City's most accurate forecast, here's meteorologist Kaylee Dion.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday to you. Let's take a live look outside on our One Park Place luxury condominium Skyview. You can see good morning Kansas City here on the Marriott Hotel. And it's going to be a good morning. It's going to be a cold morning, though. We'll start with those temperatures out there. We've got anywhere from the upper 30s to the upper 40s. So we've got 37 degrees in Maryville, 39 in Bethany, but then the rest of us in the 40s, 41 at KCI, 44 in Lawrence and Topeka, 46 in St. Joseph as well as Richmond, and 48 degrees downtown. So you do need to grab a coat as you head out the door this morning. Long sleeves. It'll warm up later on this afternoon, but it's going to be cool all week long. Winds out of the west right now anywhere from 5 to 10 miles per hour, and that's where they're going to sit as we go through the day today. West-northwest winds and mainly out of the west for much of the afternoon. If we look here at our temperatures around the midsection of the country, we're in the 40s. There are some 30s up in northern Iowa, but look at this, 20s in North Platte, 28 degrees. Ooh, we do not want to see that, right? Here's a look at our satellite and radar, and I want to jump ahead to the PowerCast because we could actually see a few very isolated showers as we go through the day today. For the most part, the majority of us are going to be dry. We're going to see a mix of sun and clouds, but if we look here, you can see right along I-70 and to the south, we can see very narrow bands of very light rainfall. Not much is going to accumulate out of this, but it is the potential is there. 10 o'clock in the morning there, and it continues to sink farther to the south as we go into the afternoon. So it's mainly a quick time period late this morning into early afternoon where we could see a few showers for some of the southern part of our viewing area. It could clip the Kansas City metro area, but for the most part, just a mix of sun and clouds for Kansas City. Going into the early morning hours of Wednesday, same thing. Could see a very small shower pop up for the early morning hours, mainly staying north of KC, and then the rest of the day should be just fine, staying cool but dry. Here's a look at our pollen forecast for those of you that suffer from allergies. Not too bad today, but it does go up as we go through the next few days. By Thursday, back up to a very high pollen count, so then that's no fun for us that suffer from allergies like myself. All right, for the Royals game tonight, we have been talking about that chance for an isolated shower along and south of I-70. We're going to be okay for the game tonight. 64 degrees, breezy and cool, so make sure that as you head out to the game, you grab long sleeves, a coat, because once that sun goes down, temperatures are going to drop and it's going to feel pretty cold out there. 53 degrees, and if you're sitting still and you don't have the sun on you, that's going to feel a bit on the cool side. Going into Wednesday, let's look at those temperatures. Starting off right around 40 degrees, then going into the afternoon hours, we're going to stay in the 50s all day long. So we're going to warm up by 2 o'clock in the afternoon to right around 55, topping out right around the upper 50s for high temperatures during the day on Wednesday. Same thing as we go into the afternoon hours on Thursday, and you can see that here with our 7-day forecast. 59 degrees on Wednesday, 58 on Thursday, 56 Friday. So you see the stretch of weather moving forward is going to be pretty cool. So enjoy the 67 degrees today because we won't have it back again until the beginning of next week.
Ooh, wow, does not look very summer-like whatsoever.
Nope. Don't worry, the warmer will be back as we go into the beginning of May.
Okay, good.
All right. Thanks, Kaylee. Well, today in court, the man accused of plotting to kill U.S. soldiers in Kansas. During the hearing, John Booker will hear the charges a grand jury indicted him on last week. Prosecutors say Booker planned to set off a bomb at Fort Riley.
Also today, the penalty phase of the Boston Marathon bombing trial set to start. This comes as more survivors now urge prosecutors to take the death penalty off the table for Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. A couple who lost limbs during the bombings told the Boston Globe, quote, "We must overcome the impulse for vengeance." The 12 jurors and 6 alternates in the case were instructed to stay away from yesterday's Boston Marathon. Back in 2013, 30,000 people competed and tens of thousands braved the rain, wind, and cold to cheer them on. Among the runners, 25 were hurt in the bombing.
6 Americans now charged with trying to travel to Syria and join ISIS. And investigators say they were recruited over the internet. Ages 19 to 21, the 6 Minnesota men were recruited through social media by a friend now believed to be in Syria. They were caught because prosecutors say one had second thoughts and turned them in to their informant.
A combination of online recruitment with an individual that they know and trust. This is how many of these radicals are now being lured into places like Syria and Iraq.
So prosecutors see these arrests as a big step in stopping terror recruits in Minneapolis. Al-Shabaab is known to have recruited from the city's Somali population.
The problem will not go away unless we address it head on. It's not a Somali problem. It's not an immigrant problem. It is our problem, a Minnesota problem.
Muslim leaders in Minneapolis say they're working with the FBI to stop this recruiting.
And the U.S. is not the only country dealing with young suspected terrorists. British police just arrested a 14-year-old boy in connection with an alleged plot to attack a war memorial ceremony in Australia. Police detained the boy in northwestern England on suspicion of involvement in commission, preparation, or instigation of acts of terrorism. The arrest came after police found what they believe is a credible terrorist threat. The 14-year-old had been in contact with another individual in northwest Britain and a man in Australia. Just last week, police arrested 5 Australian teenagers on suspicion of plotting an Islamic State group-inspired attack at an Anzac Day ceremony in Melbourne for later this month.
New this morning, Italian officials have arrested the Tunisian captain, and a Syrian crew member of the boat that capsized off the coast of Libya with hundreds of migrants aboard Monday night. The 2 men were charged with favoring illegal immigration. The captain was also charged with reckless multiple homicide in relation to the sinking. Hundreds of migrants were locked in their lower hulls of the boat. Authorities said as many as 900 people were killed and only a few dozen survived, making this the Mediterranean's deadliest migrant tragedy yet.
Now, the president of one of Argentina's top soccer clubs is worried that a culture of hooliganism is taking over the game. The violence of Barras Bravas, or hooligan gangs, is a stain on the game of soccer in the country. They have caused hundreds of deaths, and a present ban on away fans has failed to curb it. The organization Let's Save Football has a list of 304 soccer-related deaths on its website since 1922. But the bigger problem, according to soccer officials, is that simply banning the gangs doesn't actually keep them from going to the matches.
Well, coming up in a few minutes, how a couple, or shall we say losers, at the casino figured out how to capitalize on a couple of big winners.
Wow. And as we go to break, take off from China. Right now, 2 pilots are trying to fly around the world in a solar-powered plane. This is the 6th leg of their journey on Solar Impulse. It's already stopped in India and Myanmar. Later, it will cross the Pacific Ocean and fly across the U.S. and Europe before it arrives in Abu Dhabi.
I bet they're hoping the sun rises soon. We'll be right back here on 41 Action News Today. Kansas lawmakers now have to come up with even more money to try to balance the budget. A new economic forecast cuts tax collection estimates for both the current fiscal year and the next one that starts in July. The state budget director says lawmakers need to find about $400 million, either through tax increases or spending cuts.
Unfortunately, with the revision of revenues downward, it does make balancing the budget more of a challenge than it already was.
So the budget hole will likely be solved with higher taxes.
Police now are trying to figure out if 2 robberies of 2 different people who just won big at the same casino are connected. In the most recent incident, officers say the victims won $10,000 at Harrah's on Saturday. Investigators believe the suspects followed the victims home to a neighborhood near I-29 and 64th Street. The 2 men, one of them armed, took the cash. Earlier this month, thieves robbed someone who just won $6 grand from Harrah's as well.
Well, new pictures showed the suspects in an Olathe gun shop robbery. Back on April 6th, police say these 2 men broke into OMB Guns. That's near 159th and Woodland. Take a look here if you can. Investigators say they stole several weapons, and now the ATF wants your help trying to identify them. They're offering a $5,000 reward for tips leading to an arrest. All right, well, I don't know if you've heard, but yesterday was the unofficial holiday for marijuana, 420.
That's right, but only because many advocates use the day to push for the legalization of pot in the United States. And although he's not pushing for legalization, a doctor at the Kansas hospital is trying to start a conversation about medical marijuana.
Now, he's not an advocate necessarily, but he does think it is time to talk about the reality of potential benefits.
Now we have at least some experience, some feedback from other states that we can start to see, is it helpful for patients? Has it changed the impact in the community? All those things are things we should start looking a little bit more closely at to figure out, do we need to change our position on things?
You can read more about Dr. Sinclair's position. Just download the 41 Action News app now.
If you're trying to get healthy before summer, you might want to check out a new, easy way to save on health insurance. Insurance company John Hancock is passing out free Fitbits to policyholders. Wow. If you opt into the optional program, you can save based on what your Fitbit monitor records. The points earned convert into a certain amount of savings on premiums.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Well, we've told you about bird flu. There are now 8 million cases of it in the U.S.
Coming up next on 41 Action News this morning, we'll take a look at why a majority of the containment efforts are taking place in northwest Iowa.
Plus, a dramatic rescue captured on dash cam. Next, hear from the officers who risked their own lives to pull a Texas man from his burning car. We'll be right back.